My name is Kaitlin, if you haven't seen me on here before. We're going to get started in a minute. I'm just going to make sure everything looks good with Facebook. Okay, it looks like I'm not sideways, which is what I wanted to make sure. Okay, so I have a lot to say today, so I have notes, which you'll see me kind of glance over here every once in a while. But what we are talking about today is New Year's resolutions and how to diet. So, a lot of people have set New Year's resolutions for maybe weight loss, or maybe you're following some sort of diet. How's that going for you? We're halfway or more than halfway through January, and a lot of us kind of are set up for failure when we choose diets that are way too restrictive. So here's my little diet culture rant. Diets, especially restrictive bad diets, were designed to fail. If you've fallen off the wagon, you didn't fail. These diets are designed to fail and keep you coming back over and over. Like Weight Watchers, for example. Lifetime membership to Weight Watchers. You keep going back and giving them money. So, all in all, these diets are not benefiting you. So, what is a more sustainable way to live? We'll get to that. But dieting is basically a billion-dollar industry. People make a ton of money from preying on your insecurities and our culture's obsession with weight loss. When you think about commercials like Noom and the words from fitness instructors on Beachbody and people constantly talking about your body and what you need to do to be healthy or to change the way your body looks, they're not really thinking about your health. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about the bottom line and the money that they can make from these insecurities. So we are not for dieting. We're anti-diet dietitians. So in our blog, How to Diet, a little tricky, we're actually talking about how not to diet. So we're going to talk about the main ways to not diet this year and how to pursue health with sustainable changes instead. Alrighty, so on our blog, How to Diet, we kind of listed out a few goals or things to think about in terms of the dieting industry. What tends to go wrong? Number one, a number is a number, and focusing on the number on a scale or the doctor telling you need to be a certain BMI. That's a whole nother rant that I could go off on.
Or the blood pressure cuff.
My husband's reminding me of like blood pressure numbers. Health numbers are a little different. But let's see. Oh yeah, macro percentages, calorie counting. We're not robots. Our bodies change day to day. My body is different from your body. It's different from someone else's body. So to have MyFitnessPal tell you that you should be eating 1,200 calories is so wrong, because A, that's way too little, and B, it doesn't know you. It doesn't know your needs. It doesn't know your hunger. One day you may be extra hungry and one day you may not be. And these types of numbers don't account for that. The other problem is the backlash of focusing on numbers. Like, if you hit your calorie goal for the day and you're still hungry, what do? You either eat that food and may feel guilty, or you don't eat and your body isn't getting the nourishment that it needs. So you can see how these numbers can be a mind game and really not helpful. So everyone has their own needs, and that's why working with a dietitian who truly understands that can be beneficial for your overall health. Number two, find a movement that you truly enjoy. We like to use the word movement or joyful movement over exercise. Exercise has this negative connotation for a lot of people, whereas movement is not limited to 45 minutes on the treadmill or an hour boot camp or those intensive activities. It's something that you can do. You have 5 minutes, stretch, You know, if you have 10 minutes, go for a walk. If you have 20 minutes and you happen to like getting on a bike, go ride a bike. Find something that you truly enjoy, and it can be however much time that you have. It doesn't have to be limited to a certain number of minutes in the gym or your heart rate reaching a certain number. So joyful movement has a lot of health benefits outside of, you know, trying to find a number on the scale or weight loss. Number 3, eat a variety of foods. So I'm going to call out 2 specific diets here because they really focus on cutting out certain foods. And most diets do that. They cut out whole food groups, which really isn't beneficial for your body. Let's think about Whole30, for example. You know, they cut out legumes and whole grains, which contain so many micronutrients that your body needs. And that can feel extremely restrictive. Or the keto diet is really low in fiber because you're so restricted in the carbohydrates that you can eat, and it really isn't beneficial for your heart health long term. Why would I starve my body of glucose? You know, glucose is the fuel for our brain. Our brain needs glucose to run, but instead I'm going to starve my body and force it to go into survival mode to produce ketones. This is not a sustainable way to live. It's really not great for your body in the long run. So we want to think about eating a variety of foods and adding in foods versus cutting whole food groups out. Number 4, eat fun foods. This is hard for a lot of people. I hear it all the time. If I have chips in the house, I can't control myself and I eat all of them. If I have candy in the house, it's over. I'm eating it until it's gone. We psychologically, our brain kind of works in like a pendulum when it comes to restricting and dieting. The more we restrict ourselves from the foods that we love, the harder it is, then the more our body craves it, and more than likely eventually it's going to swing to the other side of that pendulum into a binge, essentially. So the more you restrict yourself, so I can't eat those, I can't eat those, I can't eat those, oh, I ate the whole package because it's finally in the house now. So with these fun foods, it can seem scary to have these foods in the house all the time. That's really the only way to gain that confidence and the control around that food. So have your fun foods, have them in the house, enjoy them, because that's the only way to get that food freedom. Alrighty. Number 5 is practice self-care. We've talked a lot about self-care in the last year, throughout the pandemic, especially because of the anxiety and the stress that came along with being stuck at home and unsure of the future and financial stresses. And our mental health has a huge impact on our overall health and well-being. So practicing self-care becomes vital. When I say self-care, a lot of people immediately go to exercise. You know, self-care would be going for a run, or self-care would be, you know, making myself go to the gym. That's not what self-care is. Self-care is incorporating daily activities that are going to improve your mental health, which could be yoga, meditation, breathing exercises, coloring books, reading. It's not meant to be some form of physical activity. It's meant to be something that's going to help with your stress levels. So think about what it is that you can do every day. You know, take 10 minutes and do something that you enjoy. Maybe it's reading some passages in the Bible, or maybe it is aromatherapy and relaxing in that way, or maybe it's meditation. Whatever it is for you, figure that out and make that time for yourself. Okay, this is where we're going to get to my little recipe. Try new foods. When it kind of builds off of eating a variety of food, I don't want you to think about what it is that you need to restrict, but more so, what can you add in? So what is a way that you can add in healthy fats, like avocado? Or what is a way that you can add in a serving of fruit? Or what's a fun way that you can cook a vegetable that you may not have tried, like breaded zucchini fries, or air-fried Brussels sprouts, whatever it is, trying new foods versus focusing on, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. So I'm making a quesadilla, but it's not technically a quesadilla because there is no cheese, but it is a kind of fruit quesadilla. So it could be used for breakfast or dessert, or a snack, whatever. Alrighty, so I've got a pan going on the stove, and I have some tortillas here. These are the fajita-sized tortillas. It can be flour tortilla, it can be corn, it can be almond flour tortilla, whole wheat flour, it doesn't really matter. I just happen to have some white tortillas in the fridge. And they are buttered on one side of each. I'm going to put one down, butter side down, and slather on a little bit of almond butter. You can really do any nut butter. I just took the almond butter and put it in the microwave briefly because I keep my almond butter in the fridge, so I wanted it to be more spreadable. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to put the almond butter down first. And I could have built this outside of the pan, that might have been a good idea, but we're just going to go with it. Alrighty, so I like to do this just because it's a fun, different way to add in a little bit of fruit, and it's tasty, and you get the fat and the protein from the almond butter, so it's a good satiating meal or snack. Okay, I'm going to put down some banana slices. That's about half of a banana. And then I have some frozen berries that I just defrosted real quick in the microwave. Usually I do this with just blueberries, but I had mixed berries in the freezer today. Just kind of spread them around. They're gonna kind of soften and get juicy. I'm going to put a little layer of almond butter on the top just to give it something to stick to. Okay, that goes on top. I'm just going to squish it. And we're going to let it cook for a little bit. So you can back up a little bit. So, the point of this being, it's a fun, different way to add in some veggies and nut butter. If you're trying to think of different ways, because you're stuck on apples and peanut butter, get really old really quickly. Try something new. Try a fruit and nut butter quesadilla. They're really delicious. And then while we're waiting for this to cook, I'll move on to building your bubble. This is one of my favorite recommendations, and it can be so liberating for your mental health. When it comes to the bubble, what I'm meaning is who you surround yourself with, both physically and virtually. So your physical bubble is going to be those people who are close to you, friends, family. That can be extremely difficult because they're your people. They're around you the most. Setting boundaries with family members to maybe not talk about your body or to not engage in diet talk can be a real challenge. But I think that is a conversation worth having. A big bubble that I've changed in my own life is my social media bubble. So What are you seeing day to day on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on your TikTok? Is it helping or is it harming? Unfollow people who make you feel bad about yourself, or who are actively engaging in diet culture and making you feel like, oh, maybe I should try that keto diet, or whatever diet it may be. When you see something, whoop, I burned it. It's not too bad. Sorry. Turn down the heat a little bit. Where was I? When you see something that doesn't make you feel great on your discovery page on Instagram, for example, you can click the 3 little dots and say, you know, I don't want to see this type of content, and whittle down that type of content that you're seeing. Or following influencers or professionals who are supportive of anti-diet, like anti-diet dietitians, body positive influencers, people who are in bodies that look like yours, so that instead of being inundated with perfection or perfect bodies or fit bodies, you're seeing people that look like you, who are, you know, pursuing, you know, their own journeys, their own health journeys, whatever it may be, but isn't going to make you feel bad. All right, quesadilla is done. Whoop, splatter. We're gonna let it sit for a second, let it just set up. So, building your bubble can be extremely helpful for your state of mind when you are on your computer. We have a resource, I'll tag it in the comments, with some Instagrammers who we really like to follow, and also some books and things like that, of people to add. And you can always look at hashtags like anti-diet dietitian, anti-diet, body positivity, things like that, to find people that are going to be more supportive. And finally, tap into intuitive and mindful eating. Intuitive eating is not about dieting, it's about healing your relationship with food and trusting your body again. And there's great resources on our website. We talk about intuitive eating and mindful eating a lot. And then there's, of course, the intuitive eating book, which is phenomenal. And then mindful eating is more about, you're slowing down, savoring, thinking about the food that you're eating, assessing if you're being satisfied by that food, thinking about the textures and the smells and the tastes. And an example that I often use is like with a peanut M&M. You know, it's really easy to throw a bunch of bunch of M&Ms in your mouth, crunch away, swallow, move on. But if you took one single M&M and set it in your mouth and moved it around and let the candy coating melt and let the chocolate melt, and you thought about it and you tasted those different layers and finally get to the peanut and you crunch that peanut with your teeth, that experience is completely different than throwing a handful into your mouth and moving on with your day. So that mindfulness can really change the way that you think about food and change the satisfaction that you have around that food. So intuitive and mindful eating are huge when it comes to the relationship with food, and we've got a ton of resources on our website for that. So that was my diet culture rant. That was some steps for you to take this year that are sustainable in your health journey. And I'm gonna try this quesadilla. It's gonna be messy, I'm sure. Whoop. Juicy. Okay. Guys, berry, banana, almond butter quesadilla. It's a winner. And not too badly burnt on the bottom. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. And we'll see you next month on Facebook Live, okay?